Good morning, and welcome to the Isn't It Time Facebook Live show today. Today, I'm your host, Sally Thibault, and today we're talking beliefs. What if the ones you have or the blocks you have actually aren't even yours? So for wherever you are around the world, welcome to this beautiful Gold Coast morning this morning. We've had a little bit of a cool change. We had some very, very hot weather, and it was actually a bit cool when I went for a walk this morning, but I'm sure it's going to be a beautiful weekend. So as you hop on, just let me know you're here, if you can hear me. We've had some technical issues yesterday. I'm hoping that we're going to be okay today because I've got a power-packed show ready for you today with lots of tips. And one of my favorite topics actually is this one, because we kind of talking a little bit about genetics. We're talking how your genealogy could be actually impacting on your success in the now, and also why it is so important that we as people now, and especially if we have children, that we are clearing this. Good morning, Denise. Lovely to have you here. I think this came from a question. Liz, good morning. Lovely to have you here. Denise, I think this came from a question that you asked last week when we're talking about what if fears that you have aren't yours and how to deal with it. So we're going to get into the show today. Just let me know what it's like where you are today. Let's go on with this weekend, shall we? As I said, I got my phone ready. If something happens, I'm going to jump off and go to my phone. But we seem to be doing okay at the moment. But yeah, I was doing a Facebook Live into another group yesterday. It is, yes, great, Denise. I was doing a Facebook Live into another group yesterday, and the whole thing just, I don't know, carked it. I don't know why, but we seem good today. We seem okay. So just a quick message: there will be no Facebook Live next week. No Isn't It Time Facebook Live next week, as I will be training. I'll be up in Brisbane training the EFT for Leaders and Coaches program. So let's talk about how beliefs that are generational can be impacting on your success today. Now, this is based on the work by Dr. Bruce Lipton, Biology of Belief, wrote the book Biology of Beliefs, and a number of others, and also some work by Margaret Lynch, who wrote the book Tapping into Wealth, where she talks about this in particular for people who are struggling to increase their incomes. There might be, wanting to take their income to the next level and just can't seem to get there. So we're going to be talking about that today. And so let me know if you kind of know you might be carrying a bit of a belief that maybe not even yours. And this is a lot to do with, just make sure my necklace isn't banging here. Can't get that microphone sorted today. Let me know if it's making noise. I'm going to move it over there. Okay. Let me know if you think that you've got a belief that's really difficult to shift, and you're just wondering, maybe this isn't even mine. Maybe this isn't even mine. This journey, finding my own way throughout this process, was really interesting, actually, when I went looking at some money issues that I just couldn't push through. And what was really interesting was when I began to look back in my family history. In fact, I've written about it in the book, Tapping to Reclaim You. When I went back and looked at the family history, it was really interesting because when I looked at either side of the generations, my mother's side and my father's side, they had both experienced similar things growing up. So I come from a long line of entrepreneurs until it kind of got to my parents. My grandparents, great-grandparents on my mother's side arrived here from Spain at the turn of the last century, so arrived here like 1900s. Just packed up their family and brought the whole family to Australia. And then in my father's side, we were part of the first fleet. So my generation. I'm a sixth generation Australian, and my ancestors came on the first fleet, and they owned all the land in Annandale in Sydney. I don't know where that was gone, but anyway. So then, as I went back looking through the generations, just to kind of figure out why I was struggling with the whole entrepreneur thing, I was just blocked. And when I went back and looked, it was interesting because the generation before my parents were actually the last of the entrepreneurs. So my great-grandfather, as I said, came from Spain on my mother's side, and he used to gamble with the Aga Khan in, that's exactly right, Cecily. Grandparents struggled through tough times. Yeah, they did. And but when you're looking in terms of this, of genetics, how this is handed down to you, really interesting. Because, as I said, my great-grandparents, my great-grandfather on my mother's side was a gambler. He used to anytime he got some money, he would be on a plane and he'd go to Monte Carlo and gamble. So my great-grandmother whenever she got some money, she put it into diamonds, so he couldn't gamble. In fact, I've got a family brooch, an heirloom, a family brooch, that's all diamonds, and that was one of the pieces that she had made. But when they, prior to World War II, they relocated to New Guinea and ran coffee plantations and gold mines up there, and had a brilliant life. My mother talks, about her life when she was growing up in New Guinea, just brilliant, no shoes on. They had the fuzzy wuzzies that kind of helped them. My mother, walked to school with somebody that took her to school. My grandparents, my grandmother had help. And on the other side, my father's side, my grandfather owned a store in Mildura in Victoria, and he was an entrepreneur as well. However, when the war hit, we're talking about World War II, when the war hit, my mother and her family were evacuated from New Guinea in a matter of literally, the Japanese were coming up the aerodrome, the back, and my great uncle had a plane load of families, and my mother included, and all her family, and they were jettisoning out baggage and things that they had wanted to bring with them to Australia, but because the plane was too heavy. So they had to leave everything behind. They literally arrived in Queensland after being on a boat, but they arrived in Queensland with nothing, no money, nothing. My grandfather lost his business in the Great Depression and moved the whole family to Melbourne. What happened was both my parents grew up in quite challenging situations, a lot of poverty. They had no money. So my grandfather, my mother's father, still remained in New Guinea on the Kokoda Trail. So my grandmother arrived in Queensland with a set of twins and 4 other children. So they had 6 at that stage. And my father came with 5, and there was little money. There was no money. My mother's uncles and aunts, morning Donna, were looking after, had to care for them. So what did that relate to? So my parents became very cautious about money. To them, it was incredibly important to have security. So they actually sacrificed a lot. I'm one of 5, to send all of us to good schools, 5 kids, Catholic schools, 1 income. I don't know how they did it. I honestly do not know how they did it. They had a home. They paid off their home as fast as they could. Everything was about security and getting a good job. So when we were growing up, mum and dad talked all the time about education and good job. And so that was very important to us, that security, making sure that we were always going to be cared for. How does that relate now? So then stepping out into entrepreneurship, there's always this fear, isn't anymore, but fear that I could always go back to a plan B. It was like this kind of underlying genetic fear about never having enough money. Living kind of, as you know, for any of you on this call that are that are, working as entrepreneurs in your own business, the challenges, and you don't know how much money is coming in. So what happened for me was that would send me into fear, stress. There wasn't enough coming in. Oh my gosh, maybe I need to give this up. Maybe I need to get a job. And that fear stops you believing in yourself, because this constant fear around, I need a good job, I've got to be secure, totally overrides that ability to be creative. Because when you're in high stress, cortisol floods the body, of course, but the blood flow leaves the frontal lobes of the brain and goes to the extremities, arms and legs. So you get heart palpitations and sweaty palms, and it's preparing you to do something. And when you're in that state, you can't think clearly. You can't be creative. It doesn't work like that. So how do you find this? Because it not only happens in money, as I said, there's a chapter in the book on Tapping to Reclaim You about that, but it is in relationships. What you saw as a child growing up is how many times it will dictate or express in your relationship. You will often find that people marry or are drawn towards somebody who reminds them of their father or their mother. In Margaret Lynch's work in her book Tap into Wealth, she talks about we have this vow to our parents. We either honor them or we try and rebel against them. Either way, it limits us. So the vow to honor your family, let's talk about money. Let's go back to that again. The vow to honor your family could be limiting your ability to make more money than your father did. Now, this is all subconscious, remember. So if you are being limited in the amount of money that you can make and draw into your business, look to see, have you got this unconscious, remember this is all unconscious, this unconscious bias about your family. Like, I can't make more money than my family. Opposite to that, direct opposite to that, is where we try and rebel against what our family has. So you may say, I'm never going to be like mum and dad. They were this all their lives. I'm going to show them, I'm going to prove my worth. But what happens is you run on this fear all the time that maybe they're right. So you're not operating from that beautiful sense of in the present moment. You are operating on with an attachment to outcome. Is this resonating with anybody? Just let me know. Pop it in the comments. I know we've got a delay because I can see it. I can see my own delay. So pop it in the comments. Is this resonating with anybody? Can you see in your life that perhaps you're being limited by some family genetics? Now, the next part of this is if your family tribe is strong. Brene Brown talks about this. We want to belong to a tribe. Okay, great, Denise. Thank you. We want to belong to a tribe. Absolutely resonates. Good. This is great stuff, isn't it? I love this stuff. Every time I go and I'm working on a belief and I can't shift it, I go, okay, what's my family? Where is it? Where's my family? In fact, I had a dream about my family last night, which is really interesting, one aspect of our family. But the other part of this is that we want to be like and accepted by our tribe. Now, if you've got a strong family tribe, look at that. Look to see if sometimes you are shrinking to fit because who you want to become will not be accepted by your family. Or you may come from a family that makes fun of you. Or criticizes you, or does that whole, what's she up to now? If you have a family that sometimes that can be enough to say, you know what? Maybe I'll just keep my mouth shut. I won't say anything. I don't need to tell them what I'm doing. Now, there's a difference between not caring and really not caring. There's a difference. Don't confuse, I don't want to have to deal with this, with actually clearing it. And I see this a lot with clients where they will say, oh, that stuff doesn't bother me anymore. And yet when we get underneath it, it actually does. There's a part in all of us, that wants to be loved and accepted by our family. I'm going to show that. Yeah, exactly, Donna. That's exactly right. And they really have no idea what we do, and we have no. Yeah. Oh man, that's true. My dad says, "What's that thing you do? That thing?" Well, I do lots of things, Dad. Not just that. I do lots of things. But he, I remember one day I was, he's got it's arthritis in his back. And so I said to him, Dad, I'd like to try this tapping. And he said, oh, okay. Anyway, we tapped and we actually got the pain down. And, didn't want to know anything about it. Yeah. Not dealing with it now, and then where does it go? Yeah. Yep. Absolutely, Donna. Anyway, I was tapping with Dad, and he got his pain down, which is great. And then didn't say anything for ages. Didn't say anything. I thought, oh, okay, fine. And then I was just about to get in the car to leave to go to the airport. He said, tell me about this thing you just did. I go, Dad, not now. But, it's kind of, it has to perturbate. Now, what happens in a family is that when you are trying to shine, you often have someone in the family who resents that. Not resents you, but resents where they're at. And that's really hard, because when you shine sometimes, what you're doing is showing others that they're not shining. And that can be really hard. They'll turn that against you. They'll be critical, highly critical of you, or dismissive of you, which is the one I can't stand. I'm very fortunate now. I have a really good relationship with my sisters, and they're really, really supportive. But it wasn't always like that. I had to tap on that, remember. I had to clear it. This isn't about them. It isn't about them. It's about me. It's about, for me, wherever you've got an issue with somebody, I always go look at what's going on for me first. And usually you can shift it, believe it or not. So the family beliefs, if you are struggling at the moment with weight, relationships, or money, look at the family beliefs. Do you know, in our family, when it comes to weight, for instance, we were always told, oh, well, you've just got the Owen legs. Oh, well, you've just got the Johnston whatever. It was like you kind of tarred with this brush. Oh, that's interesting, Cecily, isn't it? More like maternal grandma, Dad. He was incredible entrepreneur, built up many things with nothing, did amazing. But he also tended to lose them. There's the tail ender, Cecily, right there. There's the tail ender. He also tended to lose them. So that's what you need to go looking for. It's that little word that you say at the end. That's what's really important. Is that you are saying those things, okay? You want to be more like looking for the buts. Look for the buts. I want to be more like him, but what would happen if you were more like him? What if you did lose everything? Everything. The minute you set an intention, all manner of opportunities moves into place in order for you. And I've spoken about this on lots of shows, and I'll share a little bit again. So you go through frequency of illusion. So you like I say, for instance, you want to buy a new car. You've decided I'm picking a car out my window, a white Mercedes, and all of a sudden you see white Mercedes everywhere. That's called frequency of illusion. The minute you set your mind to something, you zero in, your brain goes looking for ways. Okay, I see that. Like 10 minutes before you decided on white Mercedes, you probably hadn't seen one for years. And all of a sudden you see it. And you'll see that it's be parked at the shopping centre. And it'll be, someone will say, oh, I just bought a new Mercedes. It was white. And you go, oh, my God, I've just been thinking about that. It's because your brain can't process the gazillion pieces of information. However, I don't know who counts these millions or hundreds or whatever it is, pieces of information. So it goes into what you want. Now, After that is what we call confirmation bias that comes after that. So you have frequency of illusion, which is where you set your intentions. You can see it every week and see the opportunities. But confirmation bias is what your beliefs tell you about them. So frequency of illusion, you start to see everything. Confirmation bias is, the bottom line probably is, I don't really deserve that. I don't deserve that. I just buy something, because I come from a family and they'll want me to show off and what will they say, yada, yada, yada. That's all running on the script down the bottom. But you'll say, oh, look, that, why get white? I mean, they're just such a danger. Why get white? So hard to keep clean. Or, I heard some, if you get a Mercedes, like it takes, if something goes wrong, it costs a fortune. And you bring in the doubt. So here's the way it's supposed to work. Joe Dispenza talks about this all the time. The way it's supposed to work is the minute you set an intention and you align all your efforts and you release it, for gratitude. I know this is going to come. It's supposed to happen. You will find a way. You always find a way. Always, always. Denise is interesting. My dad made amazing money, then in mid to later life made poor choices. No one could say anything about it, doing it differently. Oh, my partner is now doing the same thing and has for the last 10 years. Wow. Now, oh gosh, Denise, can you see the pattern there? You see the pattern? Whew, that's a good one. So what you need to work on, what you could choose to work on there is how that made you feel. Okay, remember, this is all about you. You can't change anybody. Everybody has their own path. But how does that make you feel? How did it make you feel when your dad, did you feel upset by it? Did you feel, yeah. Did you feel upset by it? Did you feel frustrated? Did you feel hopeless? Did you feel helpless? Was there a part that goes, oh gosh, here it comes again? So when you can link the pattern up, this is what's so exciting. Yes. Oh, great, Trish. Hello, Trish. Oh, I can't wait for you to see you next week. Twice I get to see you next week. Yeah, frequency of illusion. I love it too. Mine is, great lesson today ahead of my trip back to my family. Oh, there are no accidents. There are no accidents. Awesome stuff. Yeah, frequency of illusion. Do you know, it's interesting because, it's interesting because that's a kind of, accepted scientific term. And for those of us who are, a bit spiritual, we know it's happening, our higher selves and what's going on, but that's the science way of explaining it. But when it happens, it's checking, okay, what's my unconscious, like you've got to know, what's my real beliefs, what's my feelings that are coming up about this? What is it that's really happening here? Because when you do that, when you really align, it's like you just are kind of a walking clearinghouse. It's just continually clearing stuff. I know when something isn't working, and I mentioned on this on last week's Facebook Live. Yep. See you next week. Timing is everything. Absolutely. And if you don't know what Trish and I are talking about, we are heading off next Saturday. It is the inaugural EFT for Leaders Coaches program. Training. I'm so excited about this. Bringing together fabulous elements of just strong coaching. I've been a coach for over 30 years. Strong elements of really good coaching. The things I know are laser, and bringing it together and combining EFT that you can use in your practice and adapt it to you, rather than a lot of EFT training is for therapy. And this isn't that. This is about using it as coaching. And so I'm very, very excited. So Trish and I Trish is one of our participants, and Maya, wow, we've got some really, really awesome people coming. Okay, so that's it. Did I stop talking about something? I do that all the time. Read it. I need to tap on it. Let's do a little bit of tapping to finish off the show today. If you're struggling, and if you're really struggling, you can always book a private conversation with me. And we can talk about how I can help you release some of those things in order for you to step out and into your absolute power. Gosh, this is the time. It is right now. We don't have to wait any longer for our time as women, as wisdom, wise women. It is here, right here and now. The world is going nuts, and we need women. We need it. We need the wise women. I was mentioned to a client yesterday, we bring such wisdom to, we have a very different way of viewing life because we've lived it. And I don't care what degree you have. I don't care what degree you have. What you've lived is way more important. And passion and wisdom combined will override any college degree. My focus. Anyway, I just truly believe that this is the time for women, and we need to be stepping up big time. And none of this hiding anymore. When you have everything literally at your fingertips now, and you're not living your best life, my question is, when are you going to do it? Because this is craziness. What are you waiting for? This is just silly. So if you're struggling and you really want to just blast through that, gosh almighty, just really, really, have a chat with me. I can see if now I can help you. Just, work with me. I'm just really, really passionate about women stepping into big leadership roles at the moment, because if not now, when is quite honestly where I'm at the moment. I'm with all my clients. It's just, if not now, when. You are here for a reason and a purpose. Stop hiding. Don't do that. That's just silly. The world needs your brilliance, wisdom, passion, love, compassion. Exactly. We are it. We are here. This is now. And, you saw it happening in the US again this week. I'm in a group with some other fabulous, powerful women, and we talk about politics all the time, sharing what's going on here in Australia and what's going on in the US. And we are not dissimilar to them. We are divided down the middle, right down the middle. Gosh, we need strong leadership. And it's another passion of mine, working with some corporate people, women in leadership, to release all the stuff that's holding them back. We need strong women leaders. We don't need male women leaders. We need strong. Yeah, we're all here for a bigger purpose. Exactly, Donna. And you know what? It's just, we have the ability, to make such a difference in people's lives. Everybody on this call, I know most of you, all of you, I think, are coaches, or you're working with people in some way. And really, that's, it's really about what you can do. I'm just going to pop that link here if I can get it in. I hope that works. There's a link. So if you want to have a private conversation with me, if you're interested in the EFT for Leaders program, check that out as well. Oh, I just saw, I can't fix it. Anyway, you'll see the link there. Just take the 4 off it. Right, quick, let's do tapping. All right, you're going to tap today on holding yourself back. Okay, so I want you to pick a way you are holding yourself back right now. I want you to measure on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 to 10. You're holding yourself back. I want you to measure it on a scale of 1 to 10. Now, Denise, for you, I would kind of look at maybe the pattern. There's a pattern going on here that maybe you're holding yourself back to. So measure the level of intensity and the feeling, frustration, sadness, fear, whatever it is. I'm going to use the word fear, holding myself back from fear. And I know this is not my stuff. I'm going to use that as a tail ender. We're going to do, and I know this is not my stuff. Okay, here we go. Quick, let's finish. Even though I know I'm holding myself back, and it's not my stuff, I deeply and completely accept myself and how I feel. Even though I know I am holding myself back, it's this fear that sits in my gut. And I know it's not even mine. I deeply and completely accept myself and how I feel. Even though I have this fear of being my true self, I don't think it's even my belief I deeply and completely accept myself and how I feel. Rightio, here we go. This fear, use whatever word resonates for you. This fear, holding myself back. It's not even my stuff. I know this comes from my family, and I'm ready to release it now. This fear is stopping me from shining. This fear I feel in my gut. I know there's a pattern. I can feel it. This fear I'm ready to understand and release. This pattern I want to understand. This fear of stepping into the true me. This fear. Okay, take a deep breath. All right, just measure, see if that fear's come down somewhat. Right, the homework is for this week, find that pattern. Because if you can find it, you can release it. But if you're living it day in, day out, I just ask the question, when are you going to get sick of it? When are you going to get sick of it? When are you going to get sick of it? All right, let's do a reframe round. Okay, as I said, I usually don't do this until it's a 0 or a 2 if I'm working with a coaching client. But this is for you to get an idea. Even though I know I'm releasing this fear because it's not mine, I choose to forgive those who taught me how to be fearful. Even though I know this is not my stuff. And it's time to release it. I choose to forgive those who have made me fearful. Even though that fear feels a little bit better, I choose to forgive those who have forced this fear upon me and release them to their highest good. Okay, tapping. I choose to release this fear. I choose to forgive those. Excuse me. I choose to forgive those who force that fear on me. I choose to step into my own power now. I choose to understand that all the patterns that are holding me back. I choose to live my best life starting right now. I choose to forgive those who force that fear on me and release them to their highest good. I choose to be all I can be. Okay, take a deep breath. And you can just do the power pose if you want. Just hold that feeling. Feel that, that wonderful energy open up in your heart. Remember that heart resonance stuff from the Heart Math Institute. Your energy resonates out about 3 meters, 9 feet, all around you. So what energy are you pushing out today? What energy? Okay, take a deep breath. All righty. Let me know how you go. I'm just going to have a sip. Too excited. Remember, we have our EF2 for Leaders program coming up. A book if you're interested in Brisbane next week. Fabulous event I'm going to bring. If you are struggling at the moment in any way, let me know. Let's have a chat. See if and how I can help you. I can't get this link up. I'll pop it in the show notes after this. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody. Enjoy this wonderful November. You might, like I was in the stores, we can start singing Christmas music. What? I'm thinking, no, I'm going to be sick of Michael Bublé if you're playing it the first week in November, for goodness sake. I love Michael Bublé, but not the first week of November. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend, everybody. All my blessings to you. Let me know if and how I can help you in any way. And because I'd love to help you truly, truly, truly live your best life. All right. Have a great weekend, everybody. Bye for now.